Alright, what's up everyone? Just going to do a quick short video on a few VGA to HDMI converter boxes I got here. I originally picked these up to play my Dreamcast with my VGA box on my HD TV. I have a Toro box right now, and that works really well by itself. I have a VGA input on my HD TV, which is from about 2011. Most TVs don't come with the VGA input on them, and mine looks great with the current VGA input, but I wanted something that would do VGA just for the future and to make capturing Dreamcast footage easier. So I ordered these three. This video is primarily focusing on this one. I've got some direct capture footage I'm going to put in at the end of this video, and it was all captured with this one here, which is a VGA to HDMI adapter by ESYNIC. I think that's how you pronounce it. And you can get it on Amazon. I paid about $14 for mine. And then I have a couple more here. This one by Gana. I think this one was roughly the same price. And I also got this one here, which I am not sure what company makes this one. It has a big V on it, but it's on Amazon too for around the same price. Basically, I'm going to talk about all of them real fast just because they literally all perform almost identical. They all have the same, to my eyes, video output. They all look really good. With the VGA going into them and then heading into my TV via HDMI. I've plugged them directly into my TV, directly into my receiver that then goes to my TV, and I also run them into my FrameMeister, which then goes into my Elgato HD60 to capture footage. And they all look pretty much identical. The picture's clear, crisp, there's no problem with brightness. Everything looks just pretty much the same as it does going straight VGA into my TV. It just so happens that this is probably the one I'm going to keep, just because it feels a little sturdier. It's got a metal housing on it. It's got left and right analog audio ports. This one is really sturdy too, but it just has the 3.5 millimeter audio, which works just the same, just as well as this one. But I like having the two audio plugs here, so I'm probably going to go with this one. This one pictures really, really good, and it's really small, but it's plastic, so it feels a little cheaper than these, but video looks just as good as these two. All three of these literally look the same to my eyes, so they're all great choices. But for my purposes, I'm going to stick with the ESYNIC, because it's got the dual audio output, and that's just easier, just using the red and white audio cables, so I don't have to mess with the 3.5. This one feels really sturdy too. This one's got a metal housing, and it's built really, really sturdy. So there's nothing wrong with this one either. And even this one, if you just need a really small one and you want one that doesn't take up a lot of space, this is a really good one. The picture looks perfect with this one. But the footage I captured later here in my video, I use this one. It takes a 5-volt power supply, which comes with it. This one does as well, 5 volt. This one has a micro USB plug to power it. This one just has your standard power cord power plug here. And this one has got a mini USB, older style, and so they're very simple to hook up and power, and any standard 5-volt power supply will work, or power source here. But yeah, construction's really good. All the plugs and ports are really sturdy in there. They don't move around or wiggle around. Everything running from my VGA box, my Toro box, looks fantastic. Looks really good on the screen, and I will show you guys what it looks like when I fire this up, and then following that, I've got a bunch of direct capture footage going into my capture card so you can see what it looks like. So I will have that up ahead in the video here. Now here you're going to see the VGA box start up. Now if you notice, you'll see that it is windowed in like a 4x3, so it doesn't go all the way to the top and bottom of the screen there. That is how all three of these converter boxes function when you do VGA to HDMI. And I also tested it on a couple other displays, and they do that as well. It just has to do with the way the displays, 99% of them, are going to process a 480p image from VGA through HDMI. Now, 98% of TVs, you can fix that by just adjusting the aspect ratio. On my Sony here, if I just go to full 1, it shifts everything so it fills the whole screen, and it keeps it at 4x3. I do have the option to go full 2, but that's going to stretch it and distort the ratio. And most people aren't going to want to do that because it just does not look like it's supposed to. Once you do this, everything looks perfect. It looks really good. The only thing you might notice, and this happened on every display that I tested all of these VGA boxes on, the image is shifted just ever so slightly to the right side of the screen. So if you look real close at the border of my TV, you might be able to see that the picture is maybe an inch further to the right than the left. But, I mean, that doesn't ruin anything, and it's something you hardly notice. So, other than that, this is what it looks like when you start it up. And the only thing you're probably going to have to do is adjust the aspect ratio, because by default, it's going to show up windowed like that, a little smaller. But like I said, if you just change the zoom function on your TV, it will fill it all the way to a 4x3 image. You can see there how it goes from normal where it's windowed and then fills up there. So that's all you have to do, and it looks fantastic. Alright, so here we have some straight direct capture footage of the menu. I'm currently running the VGA adapter through my FrameMeister, and the only reason I'm doing this is so I can so I was able to straighten the picture perfectly, because as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, things are shifted just slightly to the right, and so running it through the FrameMeister, I was able to have everything perfectly straight and centered, which made capturing the footage look a lot better. It also plays nicer with my capture card when it's going through the FrameMeister first. And so here is the start of the direct capture footage. Shenmue looks really good, and everything runs really smooth. You can see here the status on my FrameMeister shows the signal coming in at 480p from the VGA box, and then the FrameMeister is sending it out 1080p to my capture card. So I'll just let the footage play here, and you can see how great everything looks. I mean, it's really crisp. There's no loss in brightness. There's a few other VGA adapters out there that I watched reviews for and saw screenshots for, and the brightness definitely takes a hit going through some of those VGA adapters, but all three that I've used and that I mentioned at the beginning of the video all look fantastic. There is no loss in brightness and no loss in quality that I can detect between running straight VGA into my TV's VGA input and going to the VGA adapter to HDMI and then into my TV. And it looks identical between the two. So all three of these VGA adapter boxes are all fantastic. I think anybody would be happy with any of them.
Today's allowance. Fukusan. Practicing the move named Pit Blow.
For my first 3 years here, Sensei had me practice only the basics.
One must know the fundamentals to reveal the essence, as my father used to say.
Yes, but Sensei is no longer here to teach me. He's gone, and I still have so many bad habits. Say, Ryo-san! Would you mind showing me the right way to do it?
I'm sorry, I don't feel like it right now.
Really? Well, if you ever feel like sparring, just ask. I'll be here.
Thanks, Fukusan. Hi, Megumi.
Hiya, Doll. Doll, I named the kitty. Her name is Mimi. It's cute,
That's a real cute name.
Capcom presents.
And real quick here, I'll just briefly touch on input lag or delay. I couldn't detect any. I played several matches of Marvel vs. Capcom, and I had no problem performing all of the moves I needed. Everything felt super snappy and responsive. The FrameMeister itself adds usually 1 to 1.5 frames of lag, which is generally agreed upon by most people, which usually is undetectable unless you're doing a speed run of a platformer or something like that and you need frame by frame accuracy. That's probably the only time you would really notice anything, but everything is really responsive, and I had no problem playing this game. And fighting games require pretty precise timing themselves in order to block and pull off various moves. And all 3 VGA boxes were just fine in that regard. I couldn't notice anything. I also play some games later here that definitely require quick response time and everything to be real snappy and precise, and it all worked great. So there's really no problems on that end. It's especially impressive considering I'm running it through a FrameMeister too, which adds a lag to which adds 1 to 1.5 frames of lag on its own. And going through the VGA box into the FrameMeister and then to the TV, I didn't notice anything or have any problems. So there's nothing to worry about there, in my opinion. It all works really well, plays really smooth, and controls great. Gaiga Wing is another one that definitely requires good response time and snappy controls, being a shooter. And this game performed fantastic as well. I didn't have any control problems, and it's something you definitely notice with a game like this if your controls were delayed, because you need to be dodging enemy ships and bullets and all kinds of other projectiles, and I didn't have any problem dealing with it. So, I mean, I really put it through its paces with the few games that I played. All 3 VGA boxes, they were all great, and they all played really well on this game, which is one of my favorites, and I'm very happy that all 3 boxes didn't have any lag that I could notice. All the controls were great and worked perfectly.
began as an ordinary day in
And then here we have Resident Evil 3, which looks good. There's not a whole lot to say about this one. The cutscenes look pretty crappy, but they were low res to begin with, so there's not going to be much that you can do about that. The game itself looks really sharp. Everything plays real nice. This isn't one that needs the most snappy controls on the planet, so even if there was a little bit of lag, you probably wouldn't notice anything. But it looks really good, plays really well, and it looks fantastic, going VGA into HDMI, and it looks really good on my 60-inch HD TV.
September 28th, daylight. The monsters have overtaken the city. Somehow, I'm still alive. Okay, we've got to get out of here.
What? What do you think you're talking about? I just lost my daughter out there! How dare you tell me to go back outside?
I'm sorry about your daughter, but there isn't gonna be any rescue. We have to get out of here!
No! I'm not going anywhere! I'd rather starve to death in here than be eaten by one of those undead monsters! Now leave me alone!
Get away!
Brad, hang in there. Why isn't someone doing something about this?
I didn't know you were still alive, Jill.
The police aren't trained for this kind of situation. What could they do? Listen, he's coming for us. We're both gonna die.
What are you saying?
You'll see. He's after STARS members. There's no escape.
So that's going to be it for the direct capture footage. All three VGA boxes are fantastic. Like I said, I think any of the three would be good if you're looking to go VGA to HDMI. Everything looks really sharp on all of them. Doesn't seem to be any brightness loss that I can tell, which I've seen as an issue with some of the other converters out there. But these three work great, and I will probably keep all three of them just for the hell of it because they were all so cheap, and rather than bother shipping them back, I'll just probably hang on to all three of them in case I ever need a spare. And I will definitely be using probably two of them because I have a couple Dreamcasts, so I might use one in my living room and one in my bedroom. But they're all great units, so pick any one of them up if you're looking to go HDMI on your Dreamcast. I'd highly recommend any of them. We'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.